What's up, It's Dylan, and you're listening to Grit City Punk.
Jiggle Down Productions.
Welcome back to Grit City Punk, Tacoma's underground music and variety show, where I talk about all things Northwest music, punk, hardcore, alternative, rock, what have you. Huge show today. We got an interview with Dylan from Tongues. It's a really long one, so buckle up, but it's a great conversation. Really proud of this one. I've got some new music to talk about. Some really cool songs were released over the last couple weeks. Got some shows to announce. Very special show coming up this week is Grit City Punk's first ever punk rock show at Real Art Tacoma. It's called The Terror in Tacoma. We've got Rat Utopia Experiment. We've got Tongues. We've got We Bite and Caps Lock. It's going to be an amazing show. It's going down on Friday, May 30th at Real Art in Tacoma. Tickets are available now, pre-order, or it's $15 at the door. $5 a student ID, which is sweet. It is an all-ages show. More on that later. It's Memorial Day weekend, and I don't know what you guys are up to this weekend. I've been doing yard work. It is what it is. Some of you were at Cal Anderson Park over the weekend, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I wasn't there, but fuck Mayday USA. Fuck those right-wing extremists for bringing that rally into our community, knowing that it's going to provoke people, knowing that it's going to get the cops involved. And that's exactly what they were looking for. But I think ultimately everything went pretty smooth. Some people got arrested and hurt, which is unfortunate. But I think there was a good enough showing there in the counter-protest, and most of it seemed to be peaceful. The event got shut down early, which is a success. On the other side of the park, something far cooler was happening, and it was the pro-trans rights protest. And there was bands playing all day. Rat Utopia Experiment was there. Mockingbird was there. Mr. Dingle was there. Pregnant Dad. Bunch of other bands. That looked amazing. It looked absolutely peaceful. Just a bunch of punks around listening to some loud music, showing support for the trans and LGBTQ plus community. I love to see that, and I think overall the weekend was a win. And like I said, I'm not going to talk too much more about it because I wasn't there, but I would love to talk with people who were there. If you were there and you have any thoughts on it, shoot them to me. Send me a voice message, send me a DM, whatever. I'd love to hear from everybody. Now with that out of the way, let's get down to the new music. First up, Seattle band Muneca dropped their first EP called Osiko. 4 songs, 2 of which had already been released. All bangers. Besides the obvious Hole and L7 comparisons, there's a lot of Helmet in the riffs too, which I find really interesting. This is the title track from the EP. It's called Osiko. Sunbather Die released their first single. It's called The Sandbox. Super cool song, really incredible band, very talented. If you ever get a chance to see them live, I recommend you definitely do. They're really good. Micha XOX, who just released an album. I think it was, a few months ago, dropped a new single. It's called Bleak. It's just some more of that really hard metalcore, emo-core, screamy kind of thing. Really like what these guys are doing. Check this out. This song is called Bleak.
If I would have known, now I'm standing alone. You're beautiful, but I left you cold. Look into my eyes, a fragile disguise. We built up these walls, a bitter goodbye. Found too deep too late to see what was right in front of me. And so it seems our future's bleak, and it's all because of me. Flowing through my arteries and aggravated agony. I'm losing all my sanity rapidly. Flowing through my arteries and aggravated agony. I'm losing all my sanity rapidly. Look into my eyes, a fragile disguise. We built up these walls, a bitter
And I know it probably sounds like I'm trying to rush my way through this. I kind of am. The interview with Dylan is super long, so I'm trying to keep this concise. The band Surreal dropped yet another single. I think it's the last one before their album drops, I believe, next month. This one's called Still. Guys, Alice in Chains called They Said You're Doing a Great Job. In true grunge tradition, these guys do so much with only 2 chords and a simple melody. I could appreciate the huge sounding guitar solo too that comes ripping out of the second chorus. This band is operating very comfortably within my wheelhouse. Check it out, this song is called Still.
Consistently seeking, constantly sleeping, giving and taking and stealing, grieving.
All right, last one from Seattle band Letterbomb. Haven't heard from them before. They just dropped their very first EP. I believe I spoke about them on the show back in March. They played the International Women's Day Festival at Real Art. I recorded a What Is Punk from them. They were a really cool band. Really had a lot of fun hanging out with them, watching them play. So they just dropped their very first EP. It's called How Pretty Can I Be? And it's very, very Riot Girl. I pick up a lot of Kim Gordon from the guitarist, vocalist Kara. This song is called Too Late. It's track number 2 off of their EP. Check it out. After this, go listen to that EP if you haven't heard it yet. And then go back to the Grit City Punk YouTube. Find their live songs on there from back in March.
So sad, tell me why. Less than you did was I'm so sorry you couldn't mistake. The vicious twisted hands of fate, and I'm too late. Tell me why your whole life is so obscured by their lies. Say with your name, tell me why they robbed your grave. Oh my love, I'm too late. I'm so sorry, couldn't mistake. The vicious twisted hands of fate. I'm too late, I'm too go by and they're so unkind, and the days go by and they're so unkind, and the days go by and the days go by and the days go by.
Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Dylan, and I sing in tongues. Your dad's favorite band.
My dad hasn't heard your band, but he might like it. In fact, he probably will. Why do you do it? What's your motivation?
My motivation comes from a lot of different things. I feel like in the beginning, because I used to have a band in Ohio called Look Who's Talking. And I feel like when I started that band, my motivation was just I wasn't doing anything else. And I started out doing a lot of theater and a lot of like music when I was in college. And the whole like acting and singing like Broadway style wasn't the biggest catharsis for me. And so I feel like through the years, as I've found my voice, I feel like I've more so learned how to channel my anger through the music that I'm writing. And I feel like what motivates me is other people that are doing it too. There's nothing that inspires me more or motivates me more than when I see other people doing what I want to be doing, or like they're doing it like 100% and they don't care what anybody else thinks. And it's like they're doing it with the clothes on their backs and they're not like making any money from it. And it's me sitting around being like, I could do that, you know? And yeah, I feel like women also motivate me a lot too. Women in music just in general. So
What is punk?
I don't know. What is punk?
I'm asking you.
I don't know. People try to, I feel like people try to pigeonhole it a lot of the time, or at least that's how I felt like they did back when it first started coming up. And punk to me was always a way of just you have this thing that you're supposed to do in a capitalistic society of like work your 9 to 5 job, have kids. It's like this whole plan that's already set for you. And I feel like anything punk is anything that just goes outside of that. Obviously, you could argue that it has a very rich history with music specifically, but to me at this point in my life, it's more so just the ideas that people have against what maybe like they don't fit in society, and they don't want to, and they're kind of trying little ways to push against that, or they're just doing it by no thought or anything. They're just doing it because they feel like they have to. So I would say punk is just like not giving a shit about what anybody else thinks and just doing whatever you want as long as it's not hurting anybody.
Punk is the island of misfits toys.
Yes, literally. The island of misfits toys.
Misfits
What?
toys. That was accidental, but I'll go with it. So Bob Dylan or Dylan McKay?
Oh, no. I would probably say Bob Dylan. I always tell people that I'm named Dylan because my parents met at a Bob Dylan concert, and I'm not going to confirm or deny whether or not that's true, but it is something that I say.
I mean, that's bragging rights. That's pretty badass.
So yeah, I would go with Bob Dylan.
Perfect. Me too. So where are you from and how did you get here?
I drove here. I'm from Ohio. I'm from this little teeny tiny town called Ada. You can look it up. It is
I've heard of it.
So small. It's mostly a college town, so I grew up knowing everybody's last names and their fucking secrets, their grandparents, their like everything. And so coming from over there, I had moved to Columbus, which is a little bit of a bigger city. Had a band there called Look Who's Talking, and it was a pop punk band. And it was cool at the time because it was my way of working in music in a way that I hadn't before. I was so desperate to be in a punk band or any kind of band at all that like I started auditioning for these bands. They had a bunch of dudes in them that wanted kind of a dude hardcore singer, and I sang, and my voice at the time was pretty immature. I'd just gotten out of college where I just got done singing Broadway, so my powerful beltiness wasn't quite as settled as it is now. And so I think at the time they just wanted a dude who could scream, but they were trying to give me a shot because maybe they liked the idea of having a female front person, but I just wasn't making the cut. But what's funny is after I auditioned for one of those bands, I ruined my voice, basically. I ruined it to the point where I could probably never go back to singing Broadway style. So now I'm in this nice air pocket of my voice where it's nice and raspy, but it's not completely destroyed. But I would not be able to go back to like singing normally. So after finally I met my old guitarist on like a stupid band mix website, he was the one that gave me the chance and was like, I really want a female front person. Like, I think you would be great for this. And we did it for like a little over a year, I think. Made some songs. They're uploaded. And I'm pretty proud of that. Huh? You've heard them?
I've been listening to them several times over the last like 2 weeks. Yes. Hey, I am a serious journalist. I do my homework before I talk to people.
I really appreciate that, but at the same time, good Lord, that's embarrassing. Well,
I wouldn't say you'd be embarrassed about it. I mean, it's pretty good. It's a completely different genre than you're doing now, but I don't know. I liked it. Particularly, I liked You and Man Machine. I thought were both great songs.
Oh my
and actually,
God.
that like trio of songs in the middle of the EP there is really good.
I have not heard those song names in so long, like since I've been here, because
Well, it couldn't have been that long ago. It was January 24. That was just last year.
So yeah, that was me and Zach's original idea, was releasing the songs on New Year's, because it was after I had left. I left Ohio August of 2023, and I drove out here with a friend who was going to be my roommate. So yeah, and after that I kind of stayed in close contact, because I had broke the news to the band, hey guys, I'm moving to Seattle, and they were understandably upset, and I think they didn't really foresee and continuing the project until its end, until I left, because their heads were just out of the game at that point, which is I understand. And but Zach, he was with me, and he was like, this is the first time I've had good songs that I've written, and I want them to be completed, and I want them to be uploaded so we can look back on them, and I appreciate that. So and I still hold those songs very near and dear to me, because a lot of the writing I was doing at that time, I was just finding my voice in my writing. And You and Man Machine were my favorite songs that I've written for that band. Man Machine, literally, I was pissed off about one thing. I wrote that song in 15 minutes because I was just so mad. And that's when I realized a lot of what I'm writing comes from me just being angry about something, because it's a very cathartic art form to me.
Zach De La Rocha told us that anger is a gift.
It really is. I don't feel like feeling unsettled or unresolved, and so writing songs is my way of kind of resolving a conflict within myself, I guess. But yeah, to go back to the question, sorry. I drove out here August of 2023, and I moved to Tacoma. I lived there for a year before I met the boys. Before I met
Okay, so Tacoma.
I do know Tacoma. I like Tacoma.
Yeah.
I don't go back to it much anymore, but yeah.
So what brought you here?
That's a great question. It was honestly a toss-up between here and San Diego, and I think it just happened that we were thinking Seattle might be just a tiny bit cheaper than San Diego, and I really wanted to see what the music scene was like. Why are you chuckling?
Just maybe a little bit cheaper.
Maybe a little bit cheaper. We were well, he had lived in San Diego with a friend in an army base or something. So he had already been to San Diego and experienced it, and I was like, well, you know what? So much stuff came out of Seattle. If there's nothing happening there, there's at least a history of stuff happening there. And I want to learn about that. And I knew that I didn't want to stay in Ohio because unfortunately, the Midwest just isn't a very growth encouraging place. There's so many good bands in Ohio that I made friends with that literally don't get the fuck out of town. I'm like, you guys need to leave. You need to tour. You're so close to the East Coast. Drive to New York. Drive to fucking Pennsylvania. Drive to New Jersey. Get out there, because once you're on the West Coast, that shit gets so much harder because you're driving through the desert.
Yep.
And it's hours and hours and hours of travel. It's just I wish I would have taken advantage of that, but I'm glad that I moved here because the music scene ended up being a lot more rich here than I anticipated. I never would have been able to do what we're doing here in Ohio. I guarantee it, because Ohio, it was such a pop punk center, and though I do still like that music, it's not what I want to be making.
My next question literally was, look, who's talking?
We've
already answered that one.
When you sent me that video link and I saw Look Who's Talking, I was like, how? I was like, how did he know that? I know that I keep things online, but I was like, that's weird. You're like, what's that guy that is very he knows everything about every celebrity? It's Nardwar. You're like Nardwar, bro.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well, so how did Tongues come together?
Oh, this is my favorite story to tell because Gak found me on Craigslist. So I got really desperate when I moved here. I immediately started looking for people to work with and bands to be in. And it had always been kind of a struggle for me because of the female front person thing. That's not something that everybody's really looking for, especially not right now.
It's easy
and
to
I
get
think
pigeonholed.
Yeah, pigeonholed, and definitely I think people have a certain outlook of a female front person, that they're very soft voice, want to sing with an acoustic guitar, and I think people don't expect loud front women necessarily. And so when I made that Craigslist ad, I made sure to include pictures from all my live shows in Ohio to be like, I'm serious about this. Like, I've done this before. I want to do this better here. And Gak, he was told me now that he was on a train and he was just like looking at Craigslist because he was wanting to form a band outside of his band that he was currently in. He wanted to start his own project, and he saw me and he messaged me on Instagram and was like, "You want to meet up?" And at the time I lived in Tacoma and he lived in fucking Shoreline, and I was like, "Can I cuss on here?"
Of course.
Mom, I'm sorry.
Oh, if your mom listens to this, maybe I will.
Oh, she will. She loves everything.
Good.
I sometimes she'll
Hi,
text me
Mom.
and she'll be like, "I love what you did." I'm like, I don't even know what
good.
you're talking about. But he messaged me on Instagram. I drove up to him and like his place, and we hit it off instantly. We had such similar ideas for what we wanted, because I wanted to go more of the garagey punk kind of style where it was a little more dancey and not so much like pop punk. And so he was very interested in that. And then he had known Josiah through like they had went to the same school, but I don't think they knew each other. They had been in that band together that they were currently in. And Riley, our drummer, he is a monolith. He traveled from Montana with his band Rocky Fall, and who he's still in. He played in Seattle on tour. Gak had seen them, and then later on they came back and they moved actually. And then he hit him up and was like, "Would you want to do this?" So the whole story of us getting together was Gak, this mastermind, kind of just like plucking us all from different areas and being like, "Okay, you do this and you do this." Because Josiah was going to play drums at first, but once we hit Riley up, we realized Josiah was just going to be a great bassist for us. He's incredible. And Riley is an incredible drummer. I just got so lucky working with such incredible musicians. It's kind of insane.
So he was over there like Nick Fury, like, "I'm putting together a team."
Yes, literally.
Perfect.
Draft picked.
Yeah. So I think you kind of touched on this a little bit. You were a music student in school.
Yes.
High school and college?
Yep. Pretty much the whole time I was always doing music.
Was it choir or a band? You mentioned theater.
Yeah, I was doing a lot. I did band for a little bit. I was also doing cheerleading, which a lot of people, it is a sport, but also it's just performing, really, is all it is. And people are shocked to hear that I did that because of my nature, which is surprising to me because I'm like, if you're like an extrovert and you like to perform, cheerleading is like the perfect avenue for that. So
Yeah, that
I was
makes sense.
doing that.
What did you play in band?
Oh, fucking flute.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I didn't want to
You
do
were
the
a
trumpet or the
flautist.
clarinet. Sorry.
You were a flautist.
I was a flautist. I didn't want to do the trumpet or the clarinet because it made my lips feel weird.
Uh-huh.
And I was too afraid to do the drums. There was a boy that I really liked that played the drums, and I didn't want to talk to him because I was scared. But yeah, I played the flute, and then I never did like band in high school or anything. That was all just middle school. But and then in high school I did show choir, which was just theater, professional theater for high school students, and I did all the plays and musicals that they were doing. And then when I went to college, I did acting, a lot of acting. My degrees in theater and music. I went to a branch campus just because it was a lot cheaper than going to OSU Columbus, and that was really great. I'm in a lot of debt, but I made some friends. So, it was fun, and it taught me a lot about finding my voice, and I got a lot of technique from just doing that, which was really, really helpful.
So follow up, how does that affect or inform what you currently do in tongues?
I think it just made me more confident in myself, to be honest. Like, Just people, I don't know, I don't want to sound like hot shit, but people will ask me, like, how do you get up and do that? You know, I want to do that. How do you do that? Like, with your voice, with your, like, have the energy to do that. And, like I said, I'm angry about a lot of stuff, so I have a lot to scream about and a lot to roll around on the floor about. But I feel like it was mainly being in theater and having a director be like, get to your spot, say your line, say it confidently, and be confident in your character. Because to me, it almost feels like I am a little bit of a character on stage, is how I see it and how I dig into that confidence. You kind of have to fake it until you make it, just a little bit. So I feel like that's what that taught me.
Was there a moment or a band or a particular song that made you decide that you wanted to be in a band, that you wanted to play loud rock music?
This is a funny story, actually, because I went through, it was like 2019, kind of right before shit hit the fan. I was living with an ex-boyfriend at the time. We had like just broken up, and I was going through a lot, and I don't know how. I had been to Warped Tour and done all the, you know, listened to a lot of pop punk stuff and had really invested myself in that kind of subculture. And then I had always known about like My Chemical Romance, but when I went through that breakup, you sort of like regress into like, I don't know if you've ever been really depressed or like sad and you just like obsess over something. That's exactly what it was. And so my ex-boyfriend at the time, he didn't play guitar, but he bought one in order to practice it. And he specifically told me not to touch it or play it because he was a dickhead. He didn't want me to fucking fuck it up, I guess. He didn't want me to fucking touch it and destroy it, is probably.
Don't touch it, you'll break it.
Yeah, literally. I don't know, but that's what I fucking did while his ass was at work. I fucking plugged in his guitar and I taught myself guitar. I literally did. I was teaching myself a little bit first on his like electric. It was just like an Epiphone, horrible blue color thing, but it was nice to start on, and then I bought my own acoustic after that because I was like, it was almost kind of like an act of rebellion, is because like after that relationship I just felt so defeated because I had planned a lot in the future with this person, and then shit just kind of ended, and I was like, I need something new. And so when I started playing guitar, I was really investing myself in My Chemical Romance and like listening to their songs and just being really inspired, specifically by the guitarist Frank Iero. Seeing how I'd never seen somebody play with so much energy on stage, and that really like inspired me. And he was very I don't know another word to use other than feral. He was just a very explosive, powerful presence on stage. It was like he never ran out of breath, and he was swinging his guitar around. A Les Paul, something that's like very heavy. I don't know how he did that, but so I feel like that band and that moment was very titular to me because I knew that those guys just grew up in like New Jersey and they were pretty poor, and it's when they were just starting out. And Gerard, the singer, was honestly who mainly inspired the first album, like the first EP, the Feral Hands EP. My whole songwriting style was kind of inspired by him because he just had a way of wording things in a very urgent and almost manic way, but also painting it kind of like beautifully. And he had this very warbling, like guttural like scream where his mouth just looked like it was unhinged from his jaw, and I just like really connected with that, and I could tell that he was angry too. And so I feel like that whole time kind of inspired that.
So what has been your favorite experience so far in Tongues?
Oh gosh. I would say, to be honest, like especially in the past, I would say year, seeing the reaction from everybody towards our music is kind of nuts, and it's kind of surreal, and I try not to get too imposter syndrome about it because when I was doing my thing in Look Who's Talking, I my lyrics were pretty complicated, not complicated, but like they're definitely not as catchy as they are now. People, I don't think, picked up on a lot of what I was saying because we didn't at that point have anything on Spotify anyway. But now that people can listen to it, I'm always surprised, even though I see the numbers on Spotify, I'm like, you actually listen to this? Like, there's some shows I'll go to where sometimes they'll be even singing the words to songs that we haven't released yet. And I'm like, that just blows my mind. Like, I remember the first time, I wish I could remember what venue it was, but the first time I saw people singing along with the words to Guts. And, like, the first time that people, like, got down before, like, the big, like, do you have the guts? And back into the chorus, I was like, oh my God, like, this is working. Like, whatever I'm creating in this room is working, and it's so scary. I've never, like, not commanded a room, but, like, I've never, like, been in charge of a room like that, just with what I wrote. And what's funny about that song is it is the least amount I've ever spent on a song, because the lyrics were just so, I guess they just came really naturally to me, and they're also just kind of funny. And I came to the boys with these lyrics, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be like, we like pissing in the streets or whatever. And I was like, it's just a placeholder, like, I'll probably change them later. And they're like, we like these. They were like, you should keep this. I'm like, are you sure? I don't know. It's not like, because sometimes I take myself too seriously, and I think I'm learning to kind of steer that and try and, like, not do that so much this time around and just have fun. But I think I was really nervous at first. So I'm glad that that ended up well, but that was probably one of my favorite memories. Another one would probably just be working with Travis Trout. Working with Travis Trout was probably one of the better memories also. He was just, like, a huge, like, working with him on the music video for Nobody was just such a cool and fun experience. And he also was so supportive of everything we've been doing, even after the fact. And just to hear somebody be so, I mean, I guess I could say this for, we played with Zukrot, we played with Monster Watch recently, where it sounds like we're going to be playing with 40 Feet Tall later in the year when they release their album. Just seeing these people that you really look up to tell you things and give you validation that what you're doing is really cool and that you're important in the scene. I don't know, it means so much when the people you look up to say that. You're like, God damn, like, I'm belong here. I'm allowed to be here. Like, I have, you know, I've worked to get to this point, and it's nice to I don't know, to be a part of the community in that way, because you would think that people at that level don't have time for little guys like us or whatever, you know, and I've definitely met people like that, but it just makes those interactions with the people that care that much more, like, so much better. Like, the people in Zukrot and the people, like, in Monster Wash and plenty of the other bands that we've met have just been so violently lovable. And, like, I don't know, it's just been really nice to see that there is a community here, because when I moved from Ohio, I was kind of worried about the whole big city aspect of it, and worried that people, and there is a little bit of a learning curve with that, people aren't the exact same as they are in, like, the Midwest, but I feel like the bands themselves understand that we can all be winners, and we're all out here doing the same shit, and nobody's ever like, I'm a fan of this band and only this band, you know, like, that's never how it works. So we all can, like, work towards the same goal, and help each other out. Like, the fucking outer world and the tech world and all this bullshit going on is not helping us. So we have to help each other get to this point, you know what I mean? We have to support each other, and I think everybody understands that.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure that the Northwest has a reputation for, is that the music community has always been very supportive of itself. Not competitive in a traditional sense of my band is better than yours or anything like that, but competitive in the sense that I want my band to be better and I want your band to be better. So let's help each other. That's been a landmark of Seattle and Northwest in general.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of that scene, what has been some really cool experiences that you've had within the scene with other bands or just in venues?
Oh my God. So many.
You don't have to name
Uh,
them all. You can just name a couple.
well, I will say, I don't know if this exactly relates to the question, but it does have to do with the music scene. But takes place a few years back in the 90s.
Okay.
And
I remember that. I was there.
when I first came here, I my guitarist had told me about the story of Mia Zapata. You know, I had never really heard of the Gits when I lived in Ohio, which
They were
is
from Ohio.
funny. It's just funny because
Yeah.
not only are they from Ohio, they're from Yellow Springs, Ohio, which is where most of my friends live now. Antioch College, one of my friends went there. That's exactly where Mia went. And I could not believe that I was like, this girl and her band moved to Seattle just like I fucking did. Like from Ohio. That's just wild to me. And
Yeah.
hearing her story and how everything happened was just really touching. And ever since I had heard of it, I was just kind of I was disturbed by it, but I was also just intrigued and captivated by their music and like her message and like everything that they were trying to do. But I went and saw their record release, their
Oh,
re-record
good.
release or whatever.
Yeah.
It was
Uh-huh.
at Vera Project. I sobbed because I just couldn't help it because I had just already been thinking about these things and about the sociopoliticalness of being a woman in today's climate, in today's social climate, and living here where it's a bigger city and crime does happen a lot more, and I'm a lot more of a target. You know, the things that she was doing and the things that she was passionate about, and seeing her art and everything, and seeing the band members up on stage, I was like, this is the Git. I'm watching the Gits right now. This is insane. And
Yeah.
it was just a really incredibly moving experience for me because her friend was also up there singing like her songs. And what's amazing about this story is a girl came up, she's got like bright red hair, and they were like, this is the singer for Cosmic Kitten. She's gonna sing some of our songs. She really likes the Gits, you know, like she's from a band in California, like, and she was incredible. When we were booking our tour, I was like, oh my God, Cosmic Kitten, that's so cool. Like, I was like, I'm gonna look them up, and they were in LA, and I was trying to find an LA show, and I was like, you know what, just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna email them and see if they want to play. Like, really truly did not expect anything. Email back and said, it's fucking awesome. Like, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to play with you guys. So we're playing with them now. Like, that whole thing coming full circle was really amazing. There's been tons
That
of
is fucking amazing.
really cool, right? What are the odds? I'm like, losing my mind over it. But I mean, there's tons of shit that goes on like that in the Seattle community. You just have to know where to look, and you have to know the people to like ask. It's a very accepting community. You just have to like find your way in. Like when I first got here, I was just taking pictures of bands, trying to find people that wanted to play music also. And I was just going to shows. I didn't care like what it was. I just wanted to be involved. And I feel like there's a lot of people like that. And the other thing I'll mention is a shout out to Rowan from Shame Banger. They do get together, I think the first Monday of every month or every Monday, I can't remember, but it's at Tim's Tavern now, and they do like a get together where they talk about, I think it's called Amplified.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, they talk about like just like political movements in the music scene, and like what can we do better and what can we do to make things like safer and cooler for people, and helping out people from minorities, and just all the good stuff that you want to hear taking place in the music scene. And I was like, I met her and I was like, you're doing everything I want to be doing. Like, that's exactly what I want to be doing. I'd love to make this music thing a career and continue it, but to be honest, like, I'm also so invested in the community and that aspect that anytime somebody does something like that, I eat that shit up. So.
Hell yeah. So you kind of touched on this a little bit too, and it kind of goes back to your theater days.
Uh-oh.
Your stage presence. It's monstrous. I mean, you have a swagger that is just fucking incredible. So I literally put on my questions, where does that come from? You kind of talked about it. I kick myself in the ass every time I see a video of you guys because I'm like, fuck, I haven't seen this band yet. And I've been literally like wanted to see you for a whole year. I'm like, very excited that you're going to be playing at Real Art at the end of May. And that, to be honest, that's your band is one of the reasons why I even booked a show in the first place. I'm like, if I can't get to you, I'm going to bring you to me. So
Yeah. We love Real Art, so that's baller.
have you been there before?
Yeah, we actually played I think we've only played there once, but we played like a hardcore show. They hit us up for a hardcore show and we were like, "Are you guys sure?" And they're like, No, you'll go first. You'll go first, it'll be fine." So we were like, "Okay, guys, we have to play like our most fast, hardest songs and we just got to do it real fast." And it was cool. They did like us. It was just fun. I like that venue a lot, so
A lot of mixed bills there. And some of them are bewildering, but usually seems to work.
we played with Hong Kong Fuck You. That was who was on the bill. So that was pretty rad.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one. Back to your stage presence. I mean, the antics. I mean, you're a goofball up there. Can we say, can we say that fairly? I mean, just the whole band. It looks like you guys are having the most fun of your lives, and you don't always see that from a lot of bands.
Yeah, I take the term goofball very seriously because in a good way because I don't know. I think there's a lot of seriousness in life, and I'm like, I think a lot of people honestly feel very uncomfortable in their bodies. And growing up in theater and in cheerleading and everything, I think I had to come to terms with the fact that in order to be able to be artistic in this way, I had to be very comfortable using my body. And a lot of times I am uncomfortable with my body, as the new single will point out. But I feel like, yeah, it was more so just a way for me to, whenever I'm on stage and I feel like I'm losing energy, I think about being at work. And I think about being at a place where I'm like, I wish I was performing right now. I wish I could just like scream right now. And I kind of like put myself there and I get this like resurgence of energy. I kind of think about all the people that aren't able to do what I'm doing, either physically or they're just, there's something holding them back. What I want is for other girls and women to look at me and know that they can also do it. I think women are viewed in a very like, narrow way. And I think doing this has kind of opened up a lot of perceptions of things and like, it's not just acting ladylike. It's about like, I don't know, just, being goofy. I don't know. I don't like to take myself very seriously, so.
So you are a goofy goober.
I am a goofy goober, yeah. Are you a goofy goober? Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
But are you a juggalo?
Okay, why did you say that, though? Oh, no! Bro, literally, okay. I'm so embarrassed. Okay, so I was wearing that shirt before this interview, and I fucking took it off. I'm so mad because I don't know if he's done anything bad or not, bro. I looked him up the other day. So I had this shirt on tour. For those listening, it's twisted. It's a twisted shirt. Twisted.
Yeah, and that was an older shirt too. That was from like 2008, 2010 maybe?
Well, I bought it at a, I don't remember where I bought it. It was some fucking thrift store, but I thought it looked cool. And I was like, this is a cool looking shirt. I'm going to buy it. It's cheap. And I was wearing it around. I wore it on tour. And one of the guys, I think Gak, was like, do you know, who is that on your shirt? I was like, I don't know. And he was like, I think you should. He was like, I think you should make sure.
Nobody asked you to name 3 songs?
No, I was like, you're probably right. I know. Whatever, man. Like,
okay.
It was a cool shirt, and I did look him up, and I was like, oh, I looked up the music, and I was like, oh, It's not. I'm not a juggalo, but I see the appeal in the aesthetics, and so yeah, that I cannot believe. I got no secrets now. You're like, is there anything
No.
you don't want to talk about? I should have said twisted. I don't want to
Uh-huh.
talk about that.
I saw that picture and I immediately knew that shirt. I'm like, I know that shirt.
Oh my god, that's so funny. You're like the only person. I promise.
So, what is your hottest take? What's an unpopular opinion?
Oh
you
my
have?
God.
It's controversial. You're gonna piss people off. Let's do it right here.
Okay. Celebrities are a distraction. I said it. There's gonna be a song coming out in July on our new record called Monkey. And the whole song basically was brought on by like the Taylor Swift having a jet, taking her private jets, and just and the people boycotting celebrities on Twitter for certain things. And I don't know. I've never been in the position beyond like the age of like 13, 14 to really worship music artists. And when people do, and they put their music artists and specifically celebrities, like A-list celebrities, opinions before theirs, or they're like waiting bated breath to see what they say about a political issue, it just is a little I think at this point, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, I understand that celebrities are literally just rich people, and at the end of the day, a lot of the issues we face aren't even there are a lot of issues we face, but the main issue is like a class issue. And I feel like anytime I invest more than a little bit of my time into like a celebrity or whatever, what they think or what they're saying, that's not to say I don't listen to like people's podcasts occasionally. I'm not like saying I'm a hypocrite or anything, but I don't want to put anybody else's importance, like their opinion is no more important than mine. They are just a human being. And I feel like people too often will look up to celebrities to see what they're going to say about important issues. And I just don't have a lot of faith in celebrities because of how rich they are and the fact that maybe they don't have all control over all their money, but they could be using it for a lot of different ways that they're not. So I feel like that's my hottest take.
I'm not mad about it.
Feel like some people might be mad about it, but it is what it. You're always gonna make
fuck
somebody
them.
mad. So.
Yeah.
Oh, another controversial opinion: Nickelback is a good band.
This has been a Jiggle Down Productions production.
No. No, you're absolutely wrong. Next question. What inspires you to write and create?
Okay. What inspires me to write and create, to try not and be redundant, the women that I interact with in the music scene and on a day-to-day basis, and like just people's like perseverances. I think when I see somebody who is able to take what they've experienced in their life, whether it be that like a really rough childhood or like the things they've experienced because they're a minority, or being trans, being gay, anything like that, and being able to combat that and make music and make art is like really heartwarming for me to see, and it's very motivational because I've realized in the past couple of years that being a woman just makes things so much harder for me, because not only like I look at girls and women who play instruments, because I play a little bit of guitar and a little bit of bass, but not good enough to play live. And so I look at girls who are doing that, and I'm like, not only did you have to teach yourself that, probably, you had to push against all of this other shit that was coming at you of shitty dudes being like, no, you can't fucking do that, you can't play guitar, you can't play bass. You have to push against all, because when you're a 10-year-old boy, or a 10 to 15-year-old boy, like, sometimes what you'll get for your birthday is a guitar. And girls don't have that same thing. You're not gonna get a fucking guitar when you're a 13-year-old girl most of the time. You're gonna get fucking, I don't know, whatever girls get, Barbies and shit. And so to see people and women who have pushed against that and have worked really hard to get where they are. That's kind of what like motivates me.
Your first EP with Tongues, Pharaoh Hands, great EP.
Thank you.
Very raw, very primal. It's kind of fueled on the back end by like that 70s testosterone filled rock of just like four on the floor, arena rock, kissed, fucking, you know, that kind of shit. You're doing something different with the upcoming album. From what I've gathered, it seems like you're going a little not away from that, but you're branching and you're experimenting, introducing new things. What genre is Tongues?
Oh gosh. Most of the time when people ask that, I usually just say we're garage punk. Like we're the elements of garage rock, where it's like kind of these like catchier like rhythms and stuff like that, guitar riffs. But then we have a lot of faster stuff that's just like straight like punk stuff. I think, yeah, in the first record, we were trying to find our sound because this was the first time we'd ever really written together. Like, Ooze Blues is such an anomaly in our discography now, but I love that song so much because of how it was like the first song we ever wrote was Blood Money, and it was actually written on bass. I think that really encompassed what we wanted to sound like at that time, which was just like this kind of raw, bloody energy, I think. And Guts was a little bit more upbeat, a little bit bouncier. Spit was a little bit groovier. It had more of like the guitar licks that Gak is kind of like perfecting now in our newer stuff. Cadaver Disaster
Cadaver.
is really just, yeah, that song is a very it's very theatrical. That's honestly like,
there's that breakdown where the tempo changes, the key kind of changes a little bit, and you almost sound like a carnival barker, which is kind of fun.
yes, yeah, that's exactly what we wanted it to sound like, because it was funny how that song initially came about, if you don't mind me mentioning it real quick, because I was reading an article. That mentioned that it was a horrendous article, fair warning. It was about a woman that was in a coma and had ended up pregnant at some point in that coma. And there was an investigation where they found out one of the nurse staff was, doing really horrible things to her while she was in a coma, unable to move, probably felt everything.
Yeah.
And I got so unbelievably angry and disgusted that whole song is like kind of from the perspective of somebody digging up a grave and just having sex with a corpse. And I wanted to be from that perspective because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to do that. And the fact that I'm a woman singing it, I wanted it to kind of really like hit home how horrible these things were. That's why I always say before the song starts, I'm like, this song is about men fucking dead bodies sometimes. Like, that's just a thing that happens. And I learned about the fact that like they don't hire men in more like mortuaries or whatever anymore a lot of the time because of that. And I was just really disturbed by that idea, and one way for me to like get that out was just to write that. And that's why I wanted the ending of that song to be just like so maddening that it was almost like this is like a man's spiral into like hell and into like madness from what he's doing. And it was almost sort of a revenge thing also, if you think about the woman like coming to life and like killing him and whatnot. So that what was the question? Oh, just like that whole EP, I feel like was us trying to find ways that we could interject our style and our sound into what the songs we had written. And I feel like now we're getting a lot more with psychedelic stuff. And also we love the band Frankie and the Witchfingers. We love like Spoonbenders. We love I know the boys really like OCs and King Gizzard, especially Riley, our drummer. And Ty Segall, like all of those. We try really hard to like kind of like interject that a little bit into our music. Gak and I bond a lot over Creedence Clearwater Revival and that kind of like old 70s style rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're also really inspired by that. So there's a lot of different things going into what's making our music.
The soup with a lot of ingredients. But you had mentioned the Gits earlier, and that was one of the first things when I heard your band. That was one of the first bands I thought of. Because it's very, very riff-based, very raw. It's definitely punk, but it's not punk as in like more modern like skate punk or California punk. It's really more like a 70s proto-punk kind of garage sound. There's a lot of blues in the riffs, which you don't hear in a lot of more modern heavy music. You know, you got a lot more in the 70s, you know, bands like Black Sabbath, of course. I mean, it's just heavy blues. And I hear that kind of styling a lot in the way the guitar sounds.
Totally. They are huge fans of Black Sabbath and people like the Stooges and the Kinks and the Ramones, like all that older kind of 70s style stuff, like they are huge proponents of, and yeah, of course, Black Sabbath and stuff. So it's nice that you said that.
it all comes through. That's what I do. I listen to music and I try to pick out different things. Like, what is this reminding me of? Where have I heard something similar to this? Or brain it's the ADH thing, you know? It's brain jumped from one thing to another, and it's like, oh, I listened to this song and it made me think about that song, and then
Yeah, totally.
So how do you view the role of music and art in society?
I feel like the role of it is almost just like a side effect. I don't feel like humans and our society could exist without a reaction to it, which is art and music. I feel like that's how punk came about. It's how like blues came about. Like it's how like a lot of stuff, a lot of music and a lot of art styles came about was literally just a reaction to the socioeconomic climate of their day. And I heard this quote that was like, so-and-so creates as naturally as the sun gives out heat. Like as naturally as the sun is hot, a human creates. Like that is just what they do. And something that I think about a lot is the idea, I think honestly, Frank Ayer has said this before and it's just stuck with me, that you can teach somebody to play guitar, bass, or whatever, but you can't teach them to want to do it. Like the want and the need to do it and the drive to do it is something that just comes from you. And you can't teach that to somebody else. So if you're trying to teach somebody guitar and they don't want to do it, it's not going to work. You know, and you can look up millions of tutorials on how to do things, but it's not going to matter if they don't have the drive and the need to do it. So I feel like as long as there are humans, there will always be art and music. And it's kind of bullshit to hear people. I was thinking about this when you asked this to is it Anna from Hot Stepmom?
Yeah.
And she had mentioned like hustle culture and stuff like that, and it's like I think about that too, but also what do you listen to on your commute to work? What do you decorate your apartment with? Like it's all, whatever job you work, art is going to be intertwined with that. And I think unfortunately we're in a point now where things are working against you, and it's working against art constantly, especially with like AI and all that bullshit. Like the tech thing and all the political thing, it's all kind of like pushing against the idea of art, and being in a band and making music is a beautiful thing, but it can also be a very miserable career choice because of how hard people will try to make it their living, and then they just they literally can't live off of it. And it's horrible because it's something that everybody needs. It is such a valuable thing to have in society. People need release. You don't go from work just to home, you go to a show. Like people, you go listen to music, you go see concerts. Like how do you think these artists got to the point where they're at, you know? So I don't know, that would be my answer to that, is just that people like will always be creating regardless of what climate it is. I think because now would be the time that they wouldn't be able to do it, to be honest, but we're still doing it somehow.
Because you need to. People need to.
Yep.
So besides music, what else are you passionate about?
That's a good question.
Any nerdy hobbies or obsessions?
Oh, nerdy? Oh god. I don't know if this is nerdy or not, but I just like community. I just like hanging out with my friends. I just like planning parties and getting people together and making food for people. And like, if I wasn't doing this, I straight up would be like a crone in the woods with like a little commune. I know people say that all the time, but I literally have such a almost maternal need to have a community and take care of them. And which, you know, it has its ups and downs. It definitely does. But I feel like most of the time, if I'm not worrying about music or what the band is doing, I'm just asking my friends to see each other, because I want people to be witnesses of like my life, and I want to witness other people's lives. Because I don't know if you've ever seen BoJack Horseman, but there's this quote from BoJack Horseman that he says, all we are the connections we make, or all we have is the connections we make. And I thought about that, and I was like, that's so true. What you make is important physically, but also the impact that you leave on everybody else is also so insanely important. So I feel like, yeah, I don't know. That's probably, I'm sad. I don't really play video games or anything that much. I just like hanging out with my friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, I think, what mostly the kind of the point of everything that you do is how it affects the people around you.
100%.
Yeah, the impact that you have on other people's lives, they will remember that. You know, when you're gone, the people that you've interacted with, they're going to remember you, whether it's good or bad.
True. Very true. Yeah, I try to just have positive impacts on, like, or just like making my friendships and relationships stronger, because you just need that. You need a support system. As much as you want to be like a lone wolf and you want to do things your own way, you need people to lean on. And that can be really hard if you're a really closed off person. Thankfully, I'm not.
I am, but I also have a need for community at the same time. I'm very much a strange dichotomy of wanting to be secluded and alone and wanting to be with people.
I think that means that when you're with people, though, those connections are even stronger, because
Yeah.
you're giving them something that you don't give to a lot of people.
That's true. So what's next? This Friday, after this interview airs, this Friday you will be at Real Art in Tacoma for The Terror in Tacoma with the Rat Utopia Experiment.
Indeed.
And We Bite.
I'm terrified.
And your friends, I don't know if they're your friends, but you've played with them before, Caps Lock.
Oh, they are my best of friends.
I'm excited to see them too. I haven't seen them before. So.
Oh, they are just the most wonderful people you'll ever meet. So the passion you see in me, 10 times from them, I swear to God. Like,
Perfect.
They really are, like, Lindy and Trash, like, all of them are just so very clearly passionate about what they're doing. And they're also going to be touring with us on a couple of dates, which I'm super stoked about. Very,
cool.
very happy to have met them and be playing with them.
And you just dropped a single called Lasso.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that song?
Yeah, we did.
Because this will be fresh. This song will have just come out.
True. Yeah. It did just come out.
Yeah,
What do you
it
mean?
did. It totally did. We're live. This is a live podcast.
It is.
Yeah.
Totally is.
Did you want to talk about Lasso?
Did you want me to say something about it?
Yeah, please.
Sorry. Okay. Lasso, to be honest with you, is probably my favorite song on the record.
Really?
I don't know if it's any of the boys' favorite songs, but it's my favorite song because of how catchy it is, and the fact that I get to play tambourine on it. Pretty baller. It's so I don't know. It's just a fun a kind of almost like honky tonk party song in my opinion. Like it just has like a really catchy rhythm and really catchy like guitar riff that Gak wrote, and the song itself was, when I wrote it, I was dealing with a lot of pressure from the band was getting a little bit more attention, and I was having a lot more responsibilities, and I felt like it was honestly, at first, it was a little bit like overwhelming, but then I kind of took it in stride, and I was like, you know what? I like this. Like, I like feeling like I'm under pressure. I like feeling like, not like there's stakes, but like in theory in my mind, like I'm working towards something. Like I love a goal and I love doing everything I can to achieve that goal. And like one of the lyrics I think it's in the second verse, is they say I'm human, I'm only human in my own sweat. And like me saying that was just basically like, if I'm not working towards something, or if I don't have a goal, like that's what makes me human, and that's what makes me feel alive, is like being able to sweat for something and to want something so bad that I like work and work and work for it until I get it. It's just kind of like a really motivational song for me. I think there was a lot of people that when I moved here told me that it wasn't a good idea, I wasn't gonna do it. There's a lot of people that, like, when I talked about moving to California, were like, don't do that, you know, it's going to be bad for you. And I was, at the end of the day, like, why do they give so much of a fuck about what I'm going to do when I'm going to be fine and I'm going to do what I want either way? Yeah, that whole song was kind of just me being obsessed with being in control of my own life.
Hell yeah.
Nobody can lasso me in. That's basically what I was saying.
There you go.
I'm like a wild steed in the desert. Sorry.
Yeah. Speaking of which, your upcoming album, One Trick Pony.
Oh yeah.
So what's
You're
up with
king of segues?
Yeah, thank you. I've been practicing a lot. So what's up with the name?
Oh my God. So we were sitting recording for the album. We hadn't had the album name or anything, and I'm scrolling on Pinterest, as I do. I find a lot of like merch ideas and stuff like that on Pinterest, like photo shoot ideas, anything. And I saw this little thing, and we've been getting really into like the cowboy aesthetic. I really love a good cowboy aesthetic. And because we do, after our breakdown in the desert, we feel like we're like, you know, West Coast criminals, like on the run or whatever. I don't know, but we
The desert
feel
got
like
to you, huh?
yeah, it really did. It was the desert heat, bro. I showed him this picture that said, if you've got a one-trick pony, make sure that one trick is damn good, or something along those lines.
Sure.
And he was like, that would be a good album name. And we started talking about it, and he was like, that kind of speaks to like what we're doing right now, where we all kind of feel like this is the only thing we're good at. This is like the only thing we want to be doing. And this is our one trick. We are a one-trick pony, you know? And so we just kind of, like, really connected with the name and the fact that it was kind of, I really also like the kind of carnivalness aesthetic of it all, feeling like it's kind of like, it's like the whole album is kind of almost like a drug trip in the desert. It's like, imagine you took some drugs on a merry-go-round and you're on a horse, but then you fucking wake up in the desert and you're on like a real horse, and it's like a storm and it's like dark and shit and it's scary. That's kind of what this album feels like to me. It feels like a drug trip in the desert.
Do you have a Doors cover on the album?
That's funny.
Did you see Jim Morrison in the desert?
I feel like a lot of that was, what's funny is while we were on tour, I put on a Doors album. I don't remember which one it was. It's just their main one. And Gak fell asleep and he woke up, and it was at the end of the album, and he was like, how long have you been listening to this man yell and moan? And I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I just wanted to listen to the Doors.
Hey.
But
I just listened to the Doors yesterday, actually. So there you go.
They're great.
They're great.
They were a huge inspiration when Gak and I started working together. So he really got me into them. So that was like the whole desert, breaking down in the desert on tour thing. That was a huge kind of inspiration for the next album, because we felt very like kind of haggard afterwards, and like like what is real, what's not real, is this really going to work? So I feel like we captured a lot of that in the newer stuff.
Right on. And now you're going to go and do it again. You're going to go on tour. When does your tour start?
Starts second week of July.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be going to Montana.
Utah.
Yeah, we're going to Montana, Las Vegas, Phoenix, all the way to yeah, we will be going to Utah too. Down to San Diego and all the way up through California, through Oregon, all that. It's going to be very, very exciting. We're playing with a lot of really cool people this time, thankfully, because I feel like now people have a better idea of who we are and like we have more stuff to show off. So I think that we can vet ourselves a little bit better, and we're like, we're serious about this, okay? Like, so it was a lot easier to book this tour than it was last year by far.
Yeah. Nice. Well, what else do you have for the next rest of this year? For the band or for yourself?
I don't know what the year has in store for us. I think we just want to keep collaborating with cool people, and keep working with the local bands, because I feel like a lot of people will get to a point where they just won't even fuck with the local scene anymore. And we're really thankful that there's people like Zucrot out there that will still, they're fucking in Europe. I think they might have just got back actually, but they've been in Europe, and they're still so down to earth and so involved in the local scene. And it's like, that's exactly how I want to make sure that we are if we ever got to that point, you know? And so, I don't know, me personally, I'll be making like a lyric booklet for when the album comes out. That's going to be quite the feat to do in the next few months, just to like get everything right and make it really nice. It's something I'm very excited about.
Yeah, that sounds rad.
And yeah, and just playing, I think, just like good shows and connecting more with the community. I want to do something like what Rowan is doing for like the Seattle like younger kind of community, because it's at what she does is at Tim's right now, and I feel like it's not a lot of people know about it, and I want to tell people about it, but I also want to do something kind of further up north, up here, and see if I can pull something off. So maybe that's in the works. I don't know, I have to find people and a place to be on board with it. It's a very big feat for me to do, but I would love to try it, because somebody I talked to at some point was like, well, why don't you just do it too, you know? And I was like, I never considered that, because I don't have a lot of confidence in myself a lot of the time until somebody's like, no, you should do it. And I'm like, okay. I think that's really it. We want to just keep being involved in the scene and in the community. So
Awesome. All right. Well, Dylan, thank you so much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it, and I'm super excited to see your band in just a few days. And
yes, thank you so much.
yeah, great. That was Dylan from Tongues. Thank you, Dylan. And here's the brand new song. It's called Lasso, from the upcoming One Trick Pony album, releasing this summer.
I like the pressure. I like
Got some cool shows coming up this week. At Real Art Tacoma on Wednesday the 28th is Hot Stepmom, Rainbow City Park, Topeka Clementine, and Velvet. On May 30th, Friday, at the 11th Street Bridge is Slideshow Vision, Heaven Spot, Car Crash, and Fuck You. On May 30th, Friday, is the aforementioned Terror in Tacoma, featuring Rat Utopia, Experiment Tongues, We Bite, Caps Lock, $10 pre-sale, $15 day of, $5 with student ID. It's all ages show. It's going to be a blast. Please come on down. Real Art in Tacoma. Show some support for these bands. It's my first ever show booking, which I'm excited about. Really anticipating a packed house and some great sets. I can't wait. The next day, also at Real Art, is Mr. Dinkles, Zaylee Hayes, Hurtado, Someone's Daughter, Sneer, and Negative Passengers. At the VFW Post 969 in Tacoma, on Sunday, June 1st, is Shell Shock from Portland, along with Ritual Killing and Impertinence. So if you could make it to any of those shows, you should really go to the Terror in Tacoma. Honestly, any of those shows, go watch the bands. It's just going to be an incredible weekend for music all the way around. And I think everybody's going to be extra fired up and putting on some great shows, some great audience participation. I'm pumped. I can't wait. Looking forward to new releases that we'll talk about in depth next week. The Rat Utopia Experiment dropping a new single called Creature Comfort. That is coming out on Thursday, the 29th. It's, in my opinion, the best song they've recorded yet. It's definitely their most political song. I did a Q&A with Fia from Rat Utopia. Look for that to debut on the same day, on Thursday, in video format. Grit City Punk's first ever video interview. Really short one, just nice and concise about the song. On Friday the 30th, Hot Stepmom will be finally releasing their long-anticipated live album, recorded March of last year at the Spanish Ballroom for their Nothing to Nowhere EP release show. That's coming everywhere on Friday the 30th. Add that to your libraries and playlists when it comes. Head over to their Bandcamp, buy it, and support them. This is going to be a really cool live album. Can't wait to hear it. It's a little something to tide us over until they bring out some more new material.
Hey, this is Chelsea from Filthy Traitors, and I've been asked to give my opinion on what it means to be punk. I think it means to be fully you and being brave enough to be that person, and also helping other people to be the people that they truly are and fighting for them to feel comfortable in that capacity.
That was Chelsea from the Filthy Traitors. Thank you so much for that. And that about wraps up the show. Thank you to everybody listening. Thank you to the bands. Thank you, Dylan from Tongues. And like I said earlier, if any of you were at Cal Anderson and want to talk about it, want to voice your opinion about it, hit me up, shoot me a DM, voice message, whatever. I'd really love to hear everybody's takes on it. And really, I think the huge takeaway here for me is that we need to continue to support each other in the scene and support specifically the marginalized communities and really come together with some solidarity and lifting people up and protecting the ones we love. That's how we're going to get out of this. That's how we're going to get through these hard years. And believe me, I know shit is hard right now. It's hard for a lot of people. We've lost some people in the scene, and it just seems like the current regime is just day after day beating us down. And I know it's hard out there. If you're struggling, please reach out, talk to somebody, and always check in on your friends, check in on your homies. Make sure that the people that you love know that you love them. You know, let's normalize telling your friends I love you. It's a small and simple thing, but it's those small and simple things that are going to get us through to the other side of this, which I believe will happen. And we're going to get through this together. We just need to lean on each other for support and never stop believing, never stop having hope, and fighting for that better world, because it is attainable. It's just, unfortunately, right now is bullshit. So, you know where to find me. Hit the socials, subscribe, the YouTube, the playlists, go see some shows, tell your friends about your favorite artists, buy merch. And we're going to close things out with a song from Apex Predator. It's off of their album Jesus Wept. The song is called Respect is Earned. Grit City Punk out.
This has been a Jiggle Down Productions production.
Respect is not given. Respect is earned. Respect is not given. Respect is earned. Oh yeah. Look me in the eyes when you step my back. No redemption, only punishment. This will end in violence. Words of DC. Spilling out of your mouth, betray your family, abandon your name, unrelenting torture, violent attack. Look me in the eyes when you step my back. Unrelenting torture, violent attack. Broken promises, empty words, unending violence, silence unheard. Look me in the eyes when you step my back. Unending violence.
And we're going to pretend that the recording is over, but I need you to make an intro for me.
What should I say?
I don't know.
An intro? I thought I did. Oh, an intro.
No, the intro for the show. You know, like, hi, I'm Dylan. This is Grit City Punk, or hey, fuckers, you're listening to Grit City Punk, or just whatever. Have fun or not. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Okay. What's up, motherfuckers? It's Dylan, and you're listening to Grit City Punk.
All right, I like it. Yeah.
That's the best.